everyone out there? Welcome back. It's Freaky Friday here on Corked Stats, powered by the Mayo Media Net here on YouTube and presented by Jock MKT, the daily fantasy app. We are getting paid in the shade, getting laid like an egg, baby. It's your host, the big dude with the big mouth from the Big Apple, Big Johnny Stud, coming to you worldwide from Brooklyn, New York, as always, coming out the chair as absolutely always up before the crack of dawn, as always, to bring you the fastest show in MLB. Absolutely. Anyway, you take that one up to the bank in Bristol and you can cash that bad boy. We were up in the jock market throwing our weight around again. Make sure you download the app for free. Use the code MMN Mayo Media Net. They're going to match the first $100 for free, and if it's free, it is for us doing the whole shebang shaboozle, banging the drum, blowing a harmonica, man. I am really like the one-man band. Thank you, Patty Mayo, one last time for letting me bring everybody all this goodness, man. The three pillars of profit here at Mayo Media Net, really what I think has got to be the, besides the fact this is the craziest, most unhinged show probably anywhere that has to do with baseball, I really like to think we are bringing the high IQ, the nuance, the context, the rational discussion, and weighted probabilistic scenarios to, put us in a position to get to the cashier window. It's been up and down with betting, but I think, surprise, surprise, surprise. As of late, though, it is hard to deny the success of these total base props, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, we're really breaking out the electron microscope and doing all this very granular, analysis we'll be getting into in just a second. If you're new here, I see those views clicking up every day. Thank you so much, man. We really are picking up some steam. You know what it is? People see the work and they see the interactions. And if you're unfamiliar with all that, you follow me on Twitter at MLB Moving Averages, at MLB Moving AVG on the Bird app, yo. And we're bringing the whole, there is nothing left. If in fact, if you could think of anything that we're missing, just let me know. If there's any room on the Sunday for a sprinkle or a pecan, tomato, whatever the difference is, you let us know. And we've kind of done just that. The work begins here every day on Cork Stats. Then we move over to Twitter, where I put up the links for the Patreon page, but everything is totally free. Again, all has to do with Patty Mayo. It's just a really good place to host it. Employee team totals, starting pitcher ranks. We run the algo. You get player notes. You get pricing, plus ratings and rankings for all your DraftKings and FanDuel, plus, of course, Jock MKT pricing. Man, enough of that. Let's get into this. That first pillar I mentioned, it's daily, DFS, and the like. I'm coming to you a few minutes late today because, of course, I refuse to just be satisfied with the way things look, and the graphic behind the logos was bothering me that it was squared out, so I was trying to find these transparent logos that were photocropped out, and hopefully this looks a little bit better. Let's get up into the stack attack to begin. It is the New York Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, the Pinstripers. I love the Highlanders, and it's funny because I really am like the most pessimistic Yankee fan, but even I've been sold in this team. Of course, I'm worried about the pitching health, but who isn't? Give me Yankees lefties against Connor Seabold. Yeah, the numbers are kind of off the page. We're going to get into how I'm not really focused on that. 2 games started so far this year. He went 4 2/3. Got blown up for 7. He went 4 innings and gave up 1. Bit of bad math underneath there, though. 42% fly ball, 10% barrel are those 3 home runs that he's given up to Springer, Vlad, and Chapman. What do they have in common all on the Blue Jays? Besides that, they're all fastball hitters. Keep that in mind. Now, he has been excellent in the minor leagues so far this year. 209 ERA, .99 whip through 52 innings, right? We don't want to just ignore that. And he has a 49 ERA through 8 innings. That's not what we're looking at. But we are looking at the underpinning stats. And there's that troublesome fly ball rate, again, in the minor leagues, 45% fly ball rate. That's kind of my concern, that even though they weren't home runs then, they have been home runs now. Are we really expecting it to regress to minor league levels, or is it more realistic that facing very good fastball hitters is going to be in trouble? Let's zoom on into the usage pattern. 55% usage so far year to date on the fastball. But remember, the big dude's always got the microscope out, the optometrist, camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. And that usage is even more hyper-focused against lefties. So that 55% usage, remember, when you see those are overall numbers, something I've covered at The Athletic. I've deemed a targeted approach, I don't know, now it just kind of stuck, where pitchers and organizations tailor arsenals to different-handed hitters, right? They'll actually have two separate arsenals. And, we see that used with a real degree of efficacy back to Seabold. So super hyper usage of the fastball up to 65% to lefties. And so let's dig in a bit more because, right, we don't have the output stats, but we do have the input stats. 91 miles an hour, 16 inches of vertical movement, 12 inches of horizontal movement. The reason I bring that up is not to confuse you. We'll do a quick lesson here, maybe today's feather in the cap. I'm trying to leave something in every segment of the show, so you can't just fast forward to one. You got to listen to the whole dang thing, man. All right, that's called branding, people. So anyway, the 16 inches of vertical movement is very bad compared to the field, especially for starters. We do not want steep fastballs. We want less vertical movement. We want flatter fastballs, right? Rising fastballs. They don't actually rise. They just sink less relative to the field, which also adds a deceptive element. But not only that, there's a physical element too. So don't just ping me for some intangible stuff. A fastball that remains higher, right, is further away from the bat. So it's harder to get to. And that's why pitchers with rising fastballs that work up in the zone can be extremely successful. Seabold, not one of those. The 12 inches of horizontal movement is actually excellent. That's a ton of ride. But I don't know if it's going to be enough against the Yankees. They eat fastballs for breakfast. You eat fastballs for breakfast? Matt Carpenter, 44 plate appearances against righties year-to-date. 41 hard hit, 15 barrel, the 289 average, 421 ISO. Remember, ISO is a measure of extra base hits, something that really matters in total base props, to a better than a 1,000 OPS and 5 shama-lama ding-dongs. And against fastballs from righties year to date, right? There's that laser focus. If we're going to be looking at player on player, we don't care about BVP. We want to be looking at profiles, matching up profiles and track records. 55% hard hit rate, that's 95 miles an hour on the way out. 27 barrel, every single one of those, a blast from Carpenter. We know when he connects to contact is usually pretty good. Now, the next one on the list, Gallo. These we've actually done pretty well with, which started as me kind of doing my thing, which is just pushing up against the general market, which is generally what I like to do in the first place, never kind of fit in the mold, surprise, surprise, are finding, again, these kind of profile-to-profile matches, let's say. And Gallo is a very good fastball hitter against left-handed fastballs year-to-date. Notice you're not hearing me quote his last month or whatever. Gallo known to rock a poor average, poor ISO, poor pretty much everything. But what we do know he does is hit home runs, and it's in these spots. So against left-handed fastball, 74 hard hit, 29 barrel, right-handed fastballs, my mistake, as a lefty, right-handed fastballs. 74 hard hit, 29 barrel, 23 blast, a 440 ex-woba, and 5 home runs. Excuse me, just 1 second, please. Sorry, hopefully that really didn't come through. I'm working on fading and stuff. I'm trying to do all this stuff, make life as easy for my producer, Matt Best, who is the man out there. Oh my goodness, what a guy. This show is probably half as good as it is because of him. All right, so give us Carpenter and Gallo, Yankee lefties against Seabold. Let's get into the second, a stack attacker. We want Royal righties going up against Savali. Remember, not every split is a cross split. Okay, right, so I think people kind of step on that rake. Maybe that's a little feather in the cap. Split work is not always that. Sometimes it has to do with a location profile, pitcher's expectation of break, failing, or bad plans, or bad pitching, or bad execution. But generally, it's an intention, right, and not this, he sees lefties better. And I think you'll see what I mean. Let's get into Savali real quick. It's been pretty rough. 7 ERA, 1.5 whip, 883 OPS. The velo is down a full mile an hour year over year. Usually one of those things we're looking to attack. Single digit swing and strike rate. Actually, I should back up to the velo. That's one of those things that has to do with these intra-year split, something about it's funny. I shouted out Dave yesterday. I'm going to shout out my boy Dave McDonald again. He was talking about this. Splits, how they really, you see them kind of materialize intra-year more so than year-over-year. Yeah, I really don't look to carry them over year-over-year. But once it happens intra-year, inside a year, a lot of times they stick. And I think that has to do with a lot of it, right? Savali has an attack plan, but because the fastball's not as good as it was, maybe he's being stubborn, maybe he doesn't know where else to go with it, maybe he hasn't picked up on it. I don't know the answer to that. But he's still trying to force that bad pitch, and it's gotten in trouble. So single-digit swing strike rate, a 27% CSW, which is not any good. You got to be above 28. You really want to be above 30. Those are being really good, right? So when I throw out numbers, let's give the benchmarks. 30 is excellent. 28, probably the average. When you're at 27 or below, something's probably going wrong. He's pairing it with a 89% in-zone contact rate, so everyone's getting the bat on everything. 41 hard hit, 23 line drive once the contact is made, 11 barrel, 430 expected WOBA on contact, right? So I think it's okay to isolate to these contact metrics like expected WOBA on con when we have such a high in-zone contact rate, because we're going to get a lot of contact and almost one. I was going to say almost 2, but it's more like a little bit better than 1.5 home runs per 9. I don't want to misframe. The thing here is there really is no split for Savali. Notice I did mention righties, but it's not. It's everything. Lefties and righties, minimum 296 BA, minimum 880 OPS, and each have 3 home runs at least year to date. He's missing with the fastball up and in, so I was looking at the fastball bins all together. That entire bin X-slug versus lefty. So here we're talking fastball, we're talking sinker, a minimum 930 expected slug. Major issues there, locating. He's missing middle, trying to attack up, and it's not working. Maybe the velo working against him. Against righties, it's been a failure of the splitter and the slider. Minimum 850 X-slug there, pairing it with a nearly 10 ERA on the road. Man, Savali, it's been really a rough go for him. I've liked him in the past, but again, we're seeing the degradation of skills, not just chasing a poor ERA. So give me Hunter Dozier, last 30 plate appearance against righties. He looks awesome right now, healthy, timing, give me it all. 43 hard hit, better than 14% barrel, a 346 BA, 346 ISO, almost 1,100 OPS, and 2 Ramalama ding-dongs. Wrap it up with my boy Paisan Andrew Benintendi. Last 81 plate appearance against righties. Been very good. 58% hard hit. 58 paired with a 9% barrel. So the power stroke, not so much. 368 BA, which is phenomenal. 913 OPS, but a lot of that is walk rate. Coffee is a sub 100 ISO. So I really wanted to make sure that I mentioned Benintendi because he's today's contextual lesson for application as far as these different formats go. So Benintendi, remember, right off the bat, because I do get this question almost every single day about usage, and I'm just trying to point people to this section of the show where I can explain it. Everybody on this list is viable for DFS. DraftKings, FanDuel, you have the blessing. Go get them as long as they fit, providing. Okay, so that's number one. When we get to Jock Market, it is purely price specific. Now today, pricing will be a bit softer than usual. They're beginning to split slates. Friday is a full slate, so even with the split slate, the first one will be pretty full. We're not really getting 15 slates, game slates like we used to, whereas really where we used to feast. So now it's really pricing to the 4. So DraftKings, everybody. Jock Market, everybody, granted the price. I've been drawing the line at like 5.25. Sometimes for speed, I've been going like 5.55, right? Because if you're into Jock Market, you know you really want to be quick making your orders. And again, they are limit orders. You get the difference back, so you can overbid technically. So let's go at 5.55, triple nickel. After that, I really gotta like the matchup. Say it 3 times if you're with me. Holler if you hear me. So remember, Benintendi, and then total base props. OPS includes walks. Walks are great for, Jock Market. Walks are good for DraftKings. Walks are not any good for total base props. They are awful. They are our enemy because they only serve to frustrate us. Our player gets on base, but doesn't actually get credit for it. So that's where ISO comes in, where you see me generally use OPS for handicapping, ISO being worked into this more granular analysis for prop betting, and, these more individualized stacks. So, all right, so give me Dozier and Benny. And then I forgot, to try and help that one along, the thing with Benintendi, the last part of that prop bet calculus should be lineup placement. Benintendi generally, he's been leading off, I think. So that should get you the extra at bat, except I believe, I think they're on the road today. I should know this off the top of my head. A lot of times I have these things memorized. Yeah. See, they are at home today, which could, if you're favored, because I think they're going to win, lose that frame. So when you line those up, Benintendi, I would scratch, even given all those high numbers, even given the leadoff spot. So that's just me. Just to give you an idea, I think the pricing wasn't excellent anyway. If it was like plus 130, they might have sold me on it. But so we're stacking Royals. Just be careful how we use them, right? Trying not to step on the rake. Then last up, a very familiar stack here with the Cork Stats crew. It's the Baltimore Orioles. I love these Orioles, man. People just won't get down with the fact that the Orioles hit. I know they stink, but it's the pitching that stinks. We're going up against Reed Detmers. And that's just funny because I like Detmers coming in. It's been a struggle for me in the majors. I'm wondering here, I had this one circled as low ownership, because Detmers was just phenomenal in his last start in the minor leagues at 13 strikeouts. So I think the public might be on that. I think the public is actually going to be starting him. I think you'll see him as a sleeper start. We're going to go the other way and cross our fingers. Reed Detmers 4.66 ERA, 1.10 whip. Generally not what we go after, but all the earned run indicators are north of 4.75, 10% K minus walk, 25% CSW. That is extremely too low because if he has a very elevated foul ball rate, it's over 20. That should limit him generally as far as distance go. And then too many fly balls, 45. Too many hard hits, 42. Too many barrels of 10 equals what? Almost 2 home runs per 9. And he's been death on lefties. So to have the better than 400 expected WOBA on contact, given the heavy split, tells me we want those righties on Baltimore. 350 WOBA and 11 home runs year to date from righties. He uses the fastball 50% of the time. It's only 92 miles an hour, 14-inch velo. It's too steep. 8-inch horizontal, no tail. That's why it has the 600 X-Lug. So remember, a lot of times I'm quoting X-Lug and it's contact driven. I'm using the output stat as for brevity's sake, to try and be brief, but generally a lot of these things are underpinned with the other kind of statistics. I just don't have enough time to go through every single thing every single time. So give me Mountcastle. It's what you'd expect. It's all the big hits. Love Mountcastle, my sneaky 2H MVP, 407 batting average against lefties, last 30 plate appearances, and specifically against those fastballs, right? 50% use, so we got to look at the fastball. 63 hard hit, 13 barrel, nearly 400 ex-Woba. Give me Mountcastle. Also, give me Hayes, killing lefties lately, also on top of left-handed fastballs. 55 hard hit and 10 barrel. So give me those Baltimore righties, the Blackbirds in orange vest, going to do work against Detmers. Woohoo! Alrighty. That was a pillar, a number one. I know we've been kind of stretching that one, but you know why? Because you're seeing the bets, since the bets have been a lot of times transitioning towards total bases, right? We can kind of do a more detailed analysis to cover two of the pillars. We'll circle back because I actually do have some other plays today. Fantasy end. I just got some news and notes today. Gratterall, Brusdar Gratterall, reliever for the Dodgers. He actually left with right side injury. The reason we have that circled is because I think Craig Kimbrell stinks, and we have to circle Evan Phillips. We have been desperate for saves, although gold star on our nose, because we added Trevino and Strickland everywhere. Strickland has not been good. Trevino looks like he's the closer there. Strickland keeps getting opportunities, so I don't think it's going to be good, but those 3 or 4 saves I've gotten in the last week or two, whatever, from Trevino is, it's pushing me up standings. That's just what the league and fantasy is right now. So keep an eye on Evan Phillips if you're desperate. Jurickson Profar collapsed after a collision with C.J. Abrams. Abrams stayed in. Profar did not. So maybe Ozakar gets some run in the future. I don't know if there's much there. Maybe some cheap speed. Alex Cora told reporters Michael Wacha is likely headed to the IL. So Brian Mayo should continue to get run. He got touched up by the Rays, but so what? It's a debut. Not really worried about that. Steven Matz went 3 1/3 in a rehab start. He allowed a home run, a walk, struck out 4, but he's healthy, right? He's still alive, and I think that's what he'll be looking for. They're talking about one more rehab start. He could be back right before the All-Star break, if not expect him afterwards. I've never been a Matz guy, but, he's a pitcher. Marcus Stroman expected to come off the injured list. I know he's been dropped in some more shallow leagues, so you can definitely look and see if he has been. Man, I'm coughing and sneezing today. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. Excuse me. Oh, I went back in. My goodness, live TV. All right, so Stroman should be back. Circle him. MRI confirms Toronto Blue Jay starter Kevin Gausman did not fracture his ankle, though I've now read he seems unlikely to start this weekend. All the fantasy sites still have that little baseball next to him, so I don't know, but I've been hearing he's not going to start. Sticking with the Blue Jays, Yuki Kikuchi to the 15-day injured list with a neck strain. He has stunk as of late. He will be out through the All-Star break, of course. And Max Castillo called up in his place. A little bit of interesting numbers there again. I think any kind of potential you have to be on, just in case. Especially crazy discipline stats. 30% K minus walk, right? Not just 30% walk, 35% K, 5% walk, 53% ground ball. When you know my ears are standing up right now, except more than 2 home runs per 9, you think that I'm like, oh. So, I don't know. Could be a mixed bag, but it sounds like there is some potential there. Then last note, I'll try and add on Fridays, these closer notes. Gold star for Trevino, bronze star for Strickland, black star for Black Heart for Strickland, and then the last one is Arizona, right? I was just kind of scanning the bullpen depth charts, and we know Lance and Kennedy both stink. Mantiply has been very good, sub-2 ERA on the year. The thing is, he's lefty, but also they have 2 other lefties, so that might not matter. Again, if you are desperate, I think he's one of the few kind of solid next men up. So that's the quick fantasy thing. I know today is a bit abbreviated. We're really kind of making our bones in the fantasy world on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for my fantasy heads. Don't miss those days. We're mining the advanced statistical leaderboard Tuesday and Wednesday, and then doing an ad at every position for 10, 12, and 15 team leagues. And then come the weekend, I'll actually repost that graphic and add to it some stock charts, right? Those ups and downs, and maybe any other additions. That's been kind of helpful to build off it. Some people doing their ads on Sunday. So that will do it. Let's get into some bets before we bounce for the week. I hate, the Friday show, partly because, it means I won't see you for a couple days. And, that's pretty sad in itself. All right, first looks up on the board. I am going to continue betting because I'm a professional handicapper, and no matter how bad it's been lately. I just expect to win all the time, even throughout these kind of inherent downturns. And, it's been pretty much a mess lately, though. If you're following along and you're running these round robin with us, and lately the total base props, you're absolutely making money. Hopefully you've been sticking with us throughout the season because we've kind of had our ebb and flow, and now we seem to be kind of back up on the upswing. Listen, man, you get those bad breaks, walk-offs. We're not here to make excuses, though. Let's get into the games themselves. For the audio-only listeners, I got Miami Marlins, F5 run line, so that's with the half run. We're going to get the half run at minus 115 against the Mets. That seems like a misprice to me. I would normally like the F5 money line with Lopez, but the Marlins offense is kind of beat up a touch. Bassett has been okay, but not as good as of late for ERA, right? His ERA creeping up. He kind of lives in the center of the plate too much. He's generally keeping it down. His first strike rate has dropped now below 58% because he's not inducing enough chases. So he's getting up, falling behind, not getting chases, having to come into the zone. We've seen him kind of get beat up, especially by lefties as of late. And Pablo Lopez is pretty much awesome. So we're just going with the pitching edge there. Give me Marlins to keep it tied through 5. Remember, it's just a race to 15 outs. Don't get too hooked up on how good the Mets have been. And then over to KC. We're going to look for the full game win there. That one's at minus 115 as well against the Guardians. We mentioned Savale and the struggles. Brady Singer has been pretty good. The ERA 4.3, whip 1.2. But he's one of those guys that's kind of underperformed expectations. The xFIP 3.43, Sierra 3.44, 5% walk rate plus 30% CSW, right? The numbers that I mentioned before, hitting those benchmarks. He also has a very, very low foul ball rate. That number is at 15.5. Really like that because that will help you to remain efficient because he's been excellent around the edges. When he does fall behind, the contact rate being up, there has been a lot of hard contact allowed, but the Guardian offense has stunk as of late. Only 6 home runs and 7 doubles as a team the last 7 days. They've been good for a 207 batting average, 284 OBP, a team 74 WRC plus. Kansas City's been excellent as of late. Top 5, top 8 across the board. 267 team average, 344 team OBP, team OPS of 800, which is really where you want to be. Double-digit walk rate, single-digit swinging strike rate, and a 350 team WOBA last 275 plate appearances. So I think we have the edge on both sides there. Casey, again, kind of getting up off the mat, right? You remember Witt now clicking. Pasquantino is now up. They're starting to click. Benintendi, we mentioned him, and now kind of that rising tide lifting all ships. So I think Kansas City is on the come up, and I think they're going to be one of our favorite kind of bad teams, one of our favorite underdogs for the next month or so until I think the market catches up. I like Kansas City coming into the year. Their starting pitching was a bit of a letdown. If they get it going or in those few spots when we like them, we will back the Royals con queso. All right, last one, total base props. No, it is not deja vu all over again. It is my dude, Ryan Mountcastle. He might be my favorite. He's like one of my favorite players. Love Ryan Mountcastle. What else do we love? He carries bad team bias. He hits in the top third, and he's playing like an MVP. I just covered him at The Athletic. If you're into the kind of granular stuff, whenever I put things behind the paywall, I really bring the smoke. So it's graphs and it's charts. It's a lot of stuff that I don't want to say maybe I'm being too nice there. Well, definitely being too nice. You're not going to really get it anywhere else. And I only know because I'm everywhere. Searching, trying to be number one, trying to push this show to the very fore. And if you like it, seems like a good time, please rate, review, and subscribe to the audio-only channel. Please press a cartoon finger. There's a cartoon finger somewhere down there, and then just you use a real finger to touch the cartoon finger, and my real finger will point up. There we go. Enough of that. More of this. The total base prop and Ryan Mountcastle. As long as he's checking all those boxes, we will continue to smash him. It's been a fun ride so far with these total base props. I know for a fact I have a bunch of them cooking for today. And again, we'll do that last lesson that we've loved so much. And it's don't worry about opening. This is something I've had to deal with myself, right? And so I take my losses and learn my lessons also in public as we all kind of grow together, right? I've experienced, but I'm only 40. This career, has a while to go. And sometimes we get too cute trying to be too specific, right? We come up with all these stats and indicators, and then we weigh them, right? And this one has better numbers than this one, so that's the one that we choose. When in reality, we should be just identifying hits, not hits, playing the hits, working backwards from daily risk allotment. Meaning, if you have $10 to bet every day and you have one play, you bet $10. Because you have 10 plays doesn't mean you're betting $100 10 times 10. It means you're actually betting $1 10 divided by 10. So that's probably a bit of how we're doing things a bit differently here at Mayo Media Net, opposed to, a lot of just the poor information, right? We all know it. We've had makeup hires. We've had, we've just had low IQ hires. We've had media hires. We've had production hires. What you have is everything but this, which is the true crux of success, the things that really allow for a sustainable strategic approach over the long term, yes, I'm for, over the long term, that allow you to stay in the arena. Because at the end of the day, that's really number one. You can't make money in a market that you're not a participant in. And then, right, if you wish to continue to participate, you must. See, this is funny. I was going to say you must succeed. But that's also maybe part of the misnomer, is that you don't need to succeed. And that was yesterday's feather in the cap. Remember, 4 possible outcomes on any risk venture. There are big wins, there are little wins, there are little losses, and big losses. If you avoid that last one, you will eventually succeed because you'll play around even and then eventually take those steps. And that's what it is. I know people have a hard time thinking that there could be, like we are now, we're in a 3-month stuck in the mud. Yes, it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, it totally sucks. I know. It's the first time maybe I've been down in a half of baseball ever, okay? And what are we going to do? We've been planning. We've been regimented. I have decelerated risk, which is why we kind of, again, kept ourselves from getting out of trouble, something that I do that not everyone else does. Now I'm just throwing feathers at you left and right before we get out of here for the weekend. But that stuff matters. A lot of people, handicappers, touts, facos, fugazis, and the like, when things are going poorly, they actually accelerate risk, expecting for their due, right? Let's hope that's the oversimplification. Their sine wave is about to pick up, and they're due. Well, I don't pretend to know the future. I don't pretend to understand I don't want to say luck, but right, the indescribable parts of this, right? The outcome-based parts of this, whether or not the ball bounces fair an inch or not, like, that's not what we're concerned about. So you don't get too hooked up on those things, and you just allow probabilities to kind of play out, again, being smart. So I know we kind of ran off the rails a bit, but all these things they just really matter. Road to ruin, understanding, sustainable approaches. And that's why it's really, people like me are not getting hired, probably because the average person just doesn't want to hear it. Don't absolutely do it. Man, we're up against the half-hour mark. I've been stretching this show slowly, right? You give me an inch, I'll take a mile. You give me 15 minutes, I'll take the hour. No, I'm absolutely capping it here. But I really want to thank you all at the end of every week. I just can't not appreciate you for spending your time here with us. So, again, make sure you download the Jock Market up today. We're going to be in the market. I got lots of names, and now that price attack has totally worked. It's almost like I'm almost not doing projections for Jock Market right now. It's a hit or not hit approach, and we're just using the price. Remember, inherent leverage, anybody that's under $5 means there's no demand. That opens the doorway for big profit, right, with reduced production. Because in Jock Market, you could pay up and hit a home run and not profit, right? It's a relative scale. It depends how many runs are scored in the slate. Again, Cork Stats, high IQ, and all the things that we do. Me, you, the Cork Stats crew, baby. All right, everyone, enjoy your weekend. I love you. Make sure you tag Patty Mayo. Get up in the comments. Let him know how good of a job we're doing. Press the cartoon finger. Rate, review, and subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter, and I'll see you at the cashier window. Remember, when you work as hard, it feels a lot less like luck, yo. Catch us on the flip side, yo. Peace.